Hi everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Bespoke in the Burbs. It's a long-awaited episode, the kitchen design.
Hi, I'm Ramsin Khachi. I'm the founder and principal of Khachi Design Build and Stone Lab Surfaces. I've been in the design and construction industry for over 25 years. I've decided to do an entire series around my own personal real estate investment. I'll be taking a builder's custom-like home and then taking it to an entirely new level.
Welcome to Bespoke in the Burbs. Now, when I first bought this house, I knew the outside was going to have some classic elements to it, somewhat traditional, and I wanted to introduce a little bit of that contemporary flair on the inside, especially in the kitchen. And I love designing kitchen spaces. About a month and a half ago, I met with Susan at Downsview Kitchens. Now, Downsview is obviously doing all the kitchens in these homes, and Susan meets with all the homeowners to design their kitchens. I've worked with Susan in the past with some private clients, and she is great at tapping into my creativity and working with me to create awesome kitchen spaces. Now, we had a great time and we were hoping to just get started, but let me tell you, we got so far, because once you get rolling, things just start happening with design, and it's fun. So let me take you back and show you where we ended up with that time. I'm in the Downsview Kitchens showroom, and right behind me is the plant. So let's walk over here. I want to show you this. They have a massive plant because they produce cabinetry here for all of North America, all their franchises they have. So everything's produced here. This is just a small part of it. They've got more production. They've got the finishing department over there. And this showroom is where we come in and we design kitchens and we look at materials. We put everything together. This is an exciting episode. So talking about this house and this kitchen, so I've got a concept in my mind of what I want. I already have looked at appliances, so I have some clear sense of what I want in regards to how we're gonna lay them out, because I know exactly what appliances we're going with. So having said that, it is a Cape Cod style. I do want it to be kind of a modern styled kitchen, but not so modern that it's so cold and pristine and unusable. So we've got to bring in some traditional flair, some of that Cape Cod flair, bring in some really cool elements. I want to go with a wood stain, something that brings a lot of warmth to it. And walking around here, we'll get some ideas. We've got lots of materials, and the whole idea behind coming in here is taking that plan, refining it, placing those appliances exactly where we want them so they make sense. So I'm going to go through some of the thought process with that with you, and hopefully you'll learn a few things in the way and the process that you should really take when it comes to designing kitchens. So we're going to start in the boardroom, and then we'll walk around from time to time, get some inspiration, and hopefully pull this thing together today. Scratch that. We're actually going to wait for Susan. She has to be here so we can do this together. So we're going to look around, get some ideas. And we need a jump off point. And often when I take clients out, really, and we have no start, I walk them around and I see what their reaction is to materials. And when they connect with something or they absolutely love something, that's our jump off point. So knowing the product line at Downsview, knowing some of the finishes here, some of the finishes we've done in the past, some of the finishes in the showroom, I know that I love this color door. I love the quarter sawn oak. I love the coloration, although I maybe not want to go with some of the blue wash on here. Maybe we'll pull some of that out, customize it a little bit, because at the end of the day, they will do whatever we want. And we know we're going with this floor. So this floor in the color Gotham, which you can see it's got these undulations. So it's hand scraped. And I love that because, geez, I say that a lot, don't I? I love that. Yeah, I do love that, because the beauty about this floor is that it's livable. You can walk in, it's not so pristine. And if you do scratch it, you take a marker, you fill it in, and it disappears because it's got that hand scrape feel about it. So let's talk cabinetry. Walking through a showroom like this is critical because you get so many ideas. Now, not every idea can be shoehorned into your kitchen, so listen to your designer. But it's a great way to get ideas and get some direction. So looking at accessories and what's inside the cabinetry, that's one thing. You know, walking through here, you see a lot of accessories, garbage centers, some of the tray dividers and spice drawers, how they do them, whether they serve your needs or not. So let's talk, actually, you know what? Let's talk about the different styles of cabinetry. So two major styles to really talk about. One is framed cabinets. That is this face frame that you see here. You can see this face frame going between all the doors, and the drawers are set into that frame. This is a face frame kitchen cabinet. It's a traditional way of doing cabinetry. We used to do this a lot in the 90s where this whole artisan thing was big. But the problem with that is, number one, it's costly. Number two, you lose a lot of storage space with this frame. So when you look at the square footage of cabinetry that you have, you start losing it with all the face frame. So let's go to this side and talk about frame-like. And I kind of coined this term a long time ago. We used to use it. Frame-like gives the effect of a framed kitchen, but without having all those dividers necessarily. So what we do is we use gables and panels on the ends to really, have the sides covered, and it gives you the feeling of a frame, but you're not losing anything on the inside of the cabinetry. And then you've got the cabinetry inside. So the door opens completely, Euro style hinges, so you get great access to the inside. They pull the door right out of the way, so then the accessories that you have pull right out. Isn't this thing cool?
Yeah.
But I think it's a fortune. Right? I think it's the price of a car, right? Something like that. Anyways, a cheap one. But so then you couple that with some shelving and some panels, and you can see all these gables start to, surround all these boxes, and then you get this frame-like look, but with good access to the cabinetry because you're using Euro-style hinges, good access to the space, and capitalizing on as much cabinetry space as you possibly can. And this one pulls out again with more storage inside. So anyhow, that's a quick lesson on a different kind of cabinetry. I tend to keep away from the framed cabinetry. I like this. I think you get a lot more value for your money, and we can still be creative and make it look good. So we'll go that route. I saw Susan walk in, so why don't we head over there and kind of start the process. So now let's go into the boardroom. So here we are in the boardroom. So Susan, let's go. Here's the thought. Susan and I kind of did a preliminary layout on the kitchen because that was part of some of the changes that I wanted to make in the layout of the house. So I wanted to open that servery to the kitchen to make it usable. And I made a point of this earlier in one of the other episodes, Susan, that making that servery open to the rest of the kitchen makes it usable on a daily basis, right? So now we've got this layout, and then we've gone and selected all and finalized all our appliance selections. And there's going to be some changes based on these appliance selections now. So we are sticking with the two 30-inch cooktops. We are sticking with that island because that's as big as we can go with that island. We have a change here. I decided to go with a 36-inch full refrigerator and then a 24-inch full freezer. Refrigerator on the right when you're looking at it, freezer on the left. Okay, with a trim kit that joins the two of them, and then you have access to a massive fridge with plenty of storage, and then you've got the freezer with plenty of storage. And then the freezer has the ice maker in it. So on the island, I know I talked about going with two dishwashers, but I don't think I can make that work from a space perspective and from a cost perspective. They're expensive, so you start adding more and more appliances, it gets up there. So the ovens, we had 2 banks of ovens. It was almost going to be 4 ovens. So I'm not spending that much on ovens. And what I've decided is I'm going to go with a full-size oven below, a steam convection unit above. What I want to do is I want to pull this over into this space because this lines up kind of in the middle of the fridge panel at the side. So I want to pull this over a bit. I want to mirror that pantry on this side, and I want to pull this over and create an oven cabinet. Kind of in the walkway to the servery. The only thing is here, I think we need to repeat that 7-centimeter column or 7.5-centimeter column on the outside of this, and then put the ovens inside columns in between the 2 columns. So one, you're going to pull far enough to give your 96-centimeter pantry, 7.5-centimeter column, and then your oven and then your column again, right? Then it goes into the servery. So above that, we've done glass doors. So let me take a step back here. Can I have that door? So you know I love that stain door, right? That oak with the stain, but I did something to it. I put a little molding in there.
Okay.
So do you like the way that looks?
I do.
I sense some hesitation. What is that from? Be honest, don't listen to her.
Just because it's wood, it's not MDF, right? So with the movement of the door, with humidity fluctuations, you're not concerned about that inlay after.
Doing what?
Just
moving? No, because I'll pin it with a 23 gauge nailer. I'll pin it into the corner, and then the panel will still move independent. The pins are so fine that it won't really affect it, and I don't think that won't be a problem.
Okay.
I don't think. I just think it adds that little detail that may be missing.
Yeah, and you're gonna do it on your own?
Yeah, this is one afternoon's work for me. It's fun. Why?
I don't know, we could do an inlay.
Well, show me what you can do. Show me what you can do, and okay, so show me what you mean.
Okay.
And if I don't have to do it this way, I just love the coloration of this because I think the color
Yeah.
works beautifully with this door.
The color is really nice.
And I think it just takes this door to the next level. So it brings a certain level of elegance to it, but the stain brings a casualness to it. So I like that balance. So just so we carry on.
Yeah.
So in that back elevation, so that cooktop is going to be all stone, and I'm going to float a stone shelf. So we need extra depth over there. Right, so we were bumping this center area outwards. So that cooktop area has to bump out more from the sides.
Like what, 4 inches?
Yeah, I want a reasonable size shelf, like at least a 3-4 inch shelf in the back. So 4 inches would, unless it's going to be too much. So we got to look at this distance as well. So I want to pull that out so I can put a floating shelf across, and that'll be all stone right up. So I'm probably going to go with a sintered stone. I'll probably go with something like that.
That's fine.
I'm thinking what I want to do on the island is do the island in stone, so that when you look, you see a massive stone island essentially. And then on the back side where you're working, I want to have that reveal going around, deal with the cabinetry floating inside. So on the back side, I'll probably make the stone square, and then we'll drop the cabinetry into it. So now we got to look at how the dishwasher relates to that. We got to look at how the cabinets all relate to that. Make sure that concept doesn't affect the appliances and things. This elevation here, so this will widen, this will narrow. We're going to have this area, which is going to be an open space with all done out of stone, with a couple of stone shelves floating in there. And then this is all going to be more pantry, and this we said was open, and it's going to be clad in stone with the dog dishes set into it. Everybody's going to be happy, and I'll be happy, because I like the way it's coming together. I know we've got some finesse things to deal with now, because going back to that servery, we talked about adding another element, and I don't mind there that we get into aluminum frame door with glass. And that's where I wouldn't mind adding a little bit more of a contemporary element, because this is a very classic door, but we go into a contemporary element and get into a framed metal door and go into this dark color maybe. The bronze color, and then do an interesting glass. I even love this. This is really cool. Sometimes, you know what, sometimes when you come across the right thing, it's not even worth looking anymore. Like, that's beautiful. So this is how everybody's creativity starts rolling now. So you start like this, and everybody starts coming up with ideas, and we just keep improving and improving. But I kind of like where we're at right now. This is how it all starts to come together. Now, I still have a lot of details to work out with regards to the columns, how far they bump out, and then when you bump the columns out, how the door swings relate to those columns. Most people overlook these things. So when people design kitchens, they don't think about appliance doors opening, cabinet doors opening, rollouts coming out, and then when things go in, all of a sudden, all these elements hit each other and they become conflicts. On to details. Funny, you and I think a lot alike now, eh? It's amazing when you start working together so much. This is one of my favorite profiles. I just love the fact that it's so delicate. I love this curve. It's really elegant, and you know, less is so much more sometimes. So this is a beautiful handle, and it comes in different sizes.
It does, yeah.
So
18 or 24 inch.
Okay, awesome. So this is going to get redrawn. You guys are going to redraw it based on what we're talking about, and you'll send me some drawings, and then I'll start marking them up, and we can finalize it. So are we going to nix this metal inlay idea? Seriously? My own daughter hated it. She said, I didn't like it, I didn't want to tell you, as I didn't want you to get upset, or I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Fine, I will reconsider. I will actually base it on what these people tell me. Okay. So everybody out there in YouTube land, I'm gonna let you guys decide whatever you say, because I've been propped up onto the fence. So I'm gonna let you decide, and whichever way you push me, that's the way I'm gonna go. So it's been an awesome day. We've got a lot figured out. My gosh, my head hurts. So it's been a full day, and Susan's now going to prepare all the drawings based on all the discussions we had, so we can look at the final details of the elevations, make sure they coincide with what we discussed, make some final tweaks. But as far as those details go, I'm really good with that. The next step is really figure out what's inside the cabinets. That's always the process. Number one, appliances. Number two, traffic patterns and traffic flows, the size of the cabinetry, where things are located. Number three, looking at the elevations and looking at where you're going to put things.
Now that was an exhausting day, but we got so much done and we got to a great start with regards to designing this kitchen. It was very productive. And a few days ago, lo and behold, I get a call from Susan and she's telling me that we are over budget on our kitchen. Big surprise. I can't say I'm surprised with that. I knew we would be, but then again, you know, when I'm designing, even for clients, I don't want to be limited. I want to be as creative as I can possibly be. And that is what I did. I just really wanted to create this beautiful kitchen that I would love. And then now I want to go into it again and value engineer things. Maybe look at some elements that are driving the cost up. One of those is the finish. And Susan agrees, it's a very complicated finish. You got that wire brushing, multi-layers of finish, and then glazing. We're going to look at what alternative there is to give us a similar look, but maybe not to that extent. Depending on the amount of money we would save, that is definitely something that can go. And then we're going to look at other things that we can compromise and bring this thing within our budgets. Now, one of the most important things to me is functionality, and I think that is something that everybody should be focused on. You can have a kitchen look beautiful, but if it doesn't function well, it is absolutely useless. So I'm going to go to the Bloom showroom. I'm going to take a few minutes here, drop by there, take a look at some hardware. Bloom makes some of the best hardware for cabinetry. We use them all the time. I just want to see what's new. I want to see what kind of slides I want to go with, what kind of interior components that will really specialize some of the cabinetry to get the maximum performance out of them. That's where I'm headed, and I'm going to pick you up when I get there. So here we are in the Bloom showroom, brand new in Mississauga. They just built this place. Now, Lucy just gave me a quick runaround to get me familiarized with this space, and there is so much here. Just like I said with appliances, get out there and experience what there is and actually work with them to see the functionality. It's the same with cabinetry. Get out here and take a look at all this hardware, because this is the hardware that makes your kitchen so functional. It's easy to make it look good. I always say that, and I just told you that, but for it to function well, that's critical, and it takes a lot of thought and knowledge when it comes to hardware. So you have to understand what's available. Something as simple as a corner cabinet. You know, those blind corners that you have that you often don't know what to do with or how to maximize or make that space usable. People often resort to this corner Lazy Susan that kind of rotates around and gives you access to that space. That's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that, but know that there is more options. There's different hardware, like this blind corner hardware that as it turns, it pulls the other shelves forward. You've got these Le Mans style hardware here, and these shelves kind of rotate out and articulate out and give you access to that corner. But my favorite are these Bloom corner drawers. I absolutely love these because this is the epitome of getting access to that corner. Look at this. You get a whole drawer that drives into that space, flows flawlessly, and then you have all that space accessible inside. You have a little bit of space left over in the corners, but you can use these spaces. You can put a bin here as an ice container or a recycling bin, doesn't matter. Now, when it comes to cabinetry, people often get the basics. So these Metabox slides, simple slides, basic, economical, and most people, that's all they know, that's all they've experienced, but there is so much more available. These are great, they function well, but they're not as beautiful as some of the top end stuff. So when you look at this, this is your basic cabinet, and then for storage below, you've got a shelf, and it makes that cabinet very inaccessible. Well, if you go to the next level, where we go to the tandem box here, these Metabox slides, which actually encompass all the hardware inside these middle cases on the side, you get that full extension. So when you compare all of a sudden, and you see this only comes out this far, well, this comes out even further and gives you better access. And then you utilize this below for pot and pan drawers, and it makes that bottom space very accessible. And then on top of that, you've got the high end, the top end, which is the servo drive, which at a touch of a drawer here, it pushes the drawer open. There's a mechanism back here, and I'll show you that in a second, and it opens this. So if your hands are dirty, you don't really need to touch hardware. You can just push it back in. And if you want to open it, you open it like that. You don't have to use this everywhere. Places like garbage drawers, ideal. So when you want to open it, you just touch it and it opens the drawer. But also look at all the hardware that's available for the insides. So let's go here, let's run through a mock-up kitchen, because that's where I can show you how all of this comes together. So at the back of the showroom here, they've got a small kitchen mocked up, and it is packed full of innovative hardware. So much fun. So let me walk you through some of this stuff. You've got an island here, we've got a sink, and we've got a cooktop. But what's important is how do you capitalize and utilize that space underneath? So look at that countertop here with that cooktop. Now, when it comes to electric cooktops or induction cooktops, they're not very thick these days, so you can utilize that space. So you use the tip-on hardware that at a touch of your hand there pushes it forward. It's not electrified like the servo drive. It just pushes it in, and when you close it, you push it hard and it slow closes. Love that. But what's important to note is this drawer underneath. It capitalizes on that space and still clears that cooktop, so you get such great use of that space. Same with the sink cabinet here. As we look, they've got a tip-on hardware set up here, and I love this U-shaped drawer because it utilizes this area on the sides that's often wasted. And then underneath, if you do your plumbing right and you plan ahead, which I fully intend to do, you can capitalize on this space underneath. I don't know if you heard that, but this one is a servo drive, which has that mechanism that pushes it forward. So this one is electrified, and then you've got this drawer here as well. Let's go to the other side because this is exciting as well. So I'm just going to start touching these doors and see what happens in between. This I love. Look at the thickness of this door here. It's very thin, so you can now use a composite material. You can use porcelain panels, and you can create doors for your cabinets because Bloom has all kinds of specialty hinges. And then I love this setup here. Look at this. This is how you should have a pantry cabinet set up, so that you have great access into that space. And these as well are servo driven, so when you touch them, they push out. The mechanism is all at the back. With these high cabinets, you need to access them. I'm going to show you something they have here. They have what's called a space step. So on the bottom of this cabinet here, built into the kick plate, as I use my work boots here, I'm a little messy, but I hope I don't mark them up. But this thing comes out, and it's actually a step. So you can step on here and reach high cabinets. But let me show you more. This is where it gets exciting. So once you pull it back a little bit, that pushes in, it's actually storage underneath. So you get double duty with that, which is fantastic. So what's inside of these? So we've got these cabinets here. Come on, open up. There you go, that's a tip on. So look at all the ambi-line dividers here. These are great. I love the feel of these. They're a bit rubberized, easy to clean. They protect all your cutlery, and things don't make a lot of noise or make any scratches on this stuff. Love this shelf. This is a new shelf that pulls out and locks into place. So if you have small appliances and you want to pull them out to be able to utilize them, this is a great shelf to have. And then when you want to release it, you lift that up and it goes back into place. So let's go back to these high cabinets. You've got the Aventos hardware, what's called Aventos from Bloom, and that operates these doors because typically we have doors open sideways. Well, these doors can open up. They can flip up, they can fold up, doesn't matter. So when you touch them, they flip up. This one is not electrified, so this Aventos hardware is on the sides here, and then we'll close it. But when we look at this one up here, it's actually electrified. So when it goes up, although I can't reach it to close it, all I need to do is reach the button, push it, and it closes by itself. What's important about Aventos is that it's designed so that when you do open it, it will stop where you want it to stop, so that you don't have to deal with it being all the way up there and having to jump up to grab it. And that's great as well, so you can have access to that space and then close it. So not only do you get to select the best hardware for your space when you visit a showroom like this Bloom showroom here, but you also get some great design ideas. But let's not forget why I came here. I came here to figure out what hardware I want to use inside my cabinetry. I want to go with something dramatic. I'm going to go with the Lego box system because I love the square detail, but I also love this Orion gray. So that is the hardware I'm going to use for my drawers. For the bigger drawers, the pot and pan drawers, same type of hardware, but then I also want to look at how I want to accessorize those drawers and the cabinets, especially the pantry cabinets. So I want to use that system in there as well, have lots of drawers so that I have great access to those pantry cabinets. I'm not going to give it all away because I want you to see it all in the final walkthrough, so you can see how all of this comes together and how it makes this kitchen so functional in the end. So I'm done here at the Bloom showroom. I'm going to head over to Downsview to get this information over to Susan, but also to work with her to get this kitchen back within budget. So Susan was nice enough to pull 3 samples out for me. I kind of had a look. There's nothing else that compares. So they got these 3 here that drop me back into the standard category. Now this one here almost looks like paint, which I don't love. This one here has a stain, beautiful quarter sawn oak underneath, but a bit gray. But this one I love. This is awesome. And this is an important point. You never really look at samples putting them side by side because one will always look nicer than the other. So it's nice to look at it by itself, see how it looks, and I love how this by itself looks with this combination here. Now, it doesn't have a lot of that glazing that that other kitchen had, and it doesn't have the heavy wire brushed effect, which I'm okay with because it still looks good. Now, we're gonna go back and compare it to the other one to see how it looks with regards to color. But as I'm looking at it here, without really having that kitchen in the picture, I'm happy with this, which works for me. Puts me back into the standard levels. So let's go back and see how it compares with the initial look so I can make my final decisions. So this was the kitchen that initially gave me the inspiration for this color. So looking at the compromise, I think this is fantastic because yes, when you put it right up against it, I do like this other one a little bit better, but when you look at this on its own with this, it works just fine. So it's a compromise I'm happy to make to bring me back within budget, and I think this combination looks fantastic. So we're gonna have this on all the cabinetry going around the perimeter. We're gonna have this high gloss finish, which is a lacquered finish with a high polish finish. That's gonna be on the back facing the family room side of the island and also around the wine display. So that's the accent, and we're gonna also do this on the hood fan. So in the middle of all that beautiful stained cabinetry is gonna be this high polished hood fan. It's gonna look spectacular. In the servery, I'm gonna do the doors on the upper cabinets with this metal frame with this gorgeous insert. And that is gonna kind of define that space a little bit. Although it's open to the rest, and you're gonna use it every day, it defines it as a servery. And I love the balance of all these materials. And lastly, I wanna point out the material I'm gonna use on the countertop. I'm using a sintered stone product, which is similar to porcelain, but it's fired under a lot more pressure and heat, so it's extremely durable, completely stain resistant, and it looks spectacular. So when you look at a natural stone like this, which is a quartzite, and you put this next to it, it's got all the beauty of natural quartzite, but all the benefits of a man-made product. So I'm going to show you how all this hardware really comes into play at the end when we walk through this kitchen, and how it's going to make this kitchen so functional, especially all the accessories that are going to go into the cabinets. That's going to be exciting. But right now, I love how this palette comes together. It's just stunning, and I gotta be honest, this is so out of my comfort zone. This is not something I would have ever imagined picking this bleached oak for a kitchen for myself. But I think you'll agree that the palette looks amazing. I'm thrilled with it, and I just can't wait for this installation to happen.